Let them talk if they want to. Talk don't bother me. I want the whole wide world to know that I love you so.
I did a lot of research for the piece and traced it back to actually Monticello and Thomas Jefferson. My family's name is Jefferson, and supposedly I've received information from other family members that Randolph Jefferson, his brother, that's my family descendant, or his descendants.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
I'll never look at a $10 bill again. What is it? No, what's
Is it?
Which
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
No, which is time? No, he's on a quarter. I don't think
Is
he's on
that-
a bill. Is he on a $2
You're
bill?
right.
He's on the $2 bill.
He's on the $2 bill.
Right,
That's right.
That's why I never see it. Right. Okay. I'll never look at it
That's
the
why
same
it took us a little bit longer to remember.
I know, right? I'm going through my mind all the money. All right, great. Well, let's. We have a clip. What is the clip that we're going to see now?
Oh, you know what? It's
Let's talk
news
about it
to me.
afterwards.
Right,
Let's
there we
play
go.
it.
That's a
All right,
better
we're going to go
idea.
to the clip, and we're going to see the play, a clip from the play, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So here it is. Francesca Harper.
Mon père est Paris, pas toujours. Mon cœur est la vie. Ma savane est belle, mais à quoi bon la nier? Ce qui m'ensorcelle, c'est Paris, Paris tout entier.
That's a clip.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about what we were watching.
Yeah, that's kind of segments of different parts of the piece, all kind of linked with a song, J'ai deux amours, a French song that Josephine Baker made famous, Madeleine Peru wrote a long time ago. And my mother actually, interestingly enough, she got her master's in French and fell in love with kind of French culture. And so that's also part of the inspiration, was like there's a moment that she talks about how influenced she was by French culture, and also, you know, a lot of the expatriates that lived in Paris, and, you know.
So she spent time there. She would travel to Paris.
Well, she lived there. She did that, I think, in school. She went there for a while. She never lived. She really was an American. She went to Chicago and lived in New York, but traveled abroad and introduced me to Europe. I lived in Germany for about 8 years and traveled around. So I think also her stories about, you know, her passion for Europe and European culture always remained in the back of my mind.
Yes, it's amazing. So she did this as a single mother, right? Right,
Yeah.
a stressful situation
Yeah.
under the best of circumstances.
Absolutely, yeah.
And do you have brothers and sisters, or
No,
you were the
no,
only
just the
child?
two of us, yeah.
It was the two of you against the world in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
right?
it felt like it at times. I'll tell you, New York is intense, but very exciting, you know.
Okay.
And she was really very interesting. The memories I have of her were just every morning she was vibrant and doing her exercises and ready to kind of go out and be the best she could be, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the Ailey School like? What do they do there? What is it?
They
how
do
do you get into
everything.
it? Who goes there? How do you get into it? What happens there?
Let's see. Well, the Ailey School, it's an amazing institution on 55th and 9th, and they have everything. That's
Right around the corner.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's right. Yeah, literally.
between 11th
Yeah,
and 59th.
4 blocks away. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And they have absolutely everything. Alvin felt it was really important that there be an institution that could offer ballet, jazz, modern, Zumba, African dance. You know. And
Is it associated with Lincoln Center or a separate?
Oh, separate.
Separate entity.
Yeah,
so it
it's
just
its
happens to be in the same
own-
neighborhood.
Yeah, it's its actual own entity. Own.
And so people come from all over the world to learn. Now,
Yeah.
you know, Ailey had his own style and his own commitment to education. So your mom to be director of that school must have very much, and they must have been in tune.
They were, and very good friends, very dear friends. I think Mom was always very honored by the fact that Alvin gave her that position and saw her in that way, in that light.
Okay, now let's talk about you for a while.
Yes.
Okay. We talked about your mom for a while. I got the background, which
Yeah,
I wanted to get
right.
and saw the video. So now I want to learn about you. So coming up in New York, Chicago, New York, a public school, private school. How did you?
I went to private school. I went to New Lincoln first, and then I went to Nightingale Bamford on 92nd Street between Madison and 5th. Yeah.
And were you committed to acting and dancing and singing and all these things, choreography?
It was just dance in the beginning. I was, and it's funny. I told you that story about my mom and the ballet. I was purely like a ballet dancer, a ballerina. That was my dream, and I think also having her story gave me a little fuel.
Was it that little girl's dream, like unicorns and ballet?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah, I did it. I was in the Dance Theater of Harlem, and then I joined the Frankfurt Ballet and was a principal dancer with the Frankfurt Ballet.
In Germany?
Yeah.
Okay.
I moved to Europe.
Okay. So you grew in that world, and then from that, when did you decide, or how did you decide that you wanted to move to choreography and singing and
all
like
that stuff?
Yeah,
well, I worked for a very special director. His name was William Forsythe from Long Island, and he was really a visionary, and one of the biggest influences and one of the catalysts for change in the ballet world, one of the most famous ballet choreographers, contemporary choreographers of his time. And he was really an experimental guy. You know, he had a 3-act musical theater piece that he made up, so we would sing. So I started to get introduced to that, and he heard that I had a singing voice, and had me singing on stage, and I had a producer hear me singing in the audience and ask me if I wanted to record. So that started. It was like, you know, he thought, well, if you have the talent and you have the drive and you're willing to work hard, why not, you know, see how multifaceted you are. You know, so that was really exciting. I got to do acting and singing and dancing, and that kind of, after I left there, I kind of knew I wanted to start a family and go back to New York or be back closer to my mother, and that's what led me into musical theater.
So you're a mom too?
Huh?
You're a mom too?
I am a mom. I'm a mom, yeah.
So you do all of that and have a kid?
Yeah.
A kid's a kid. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And so, and I hope happy. You're happy.
Oh, yeah.
You seem very happy.
I am happy. I am.
Yeah.
I love what I do, and I love New York. Yeah.
And this play, it's what are you trying to do? Is this like to tell people the story of your family, your mom, and your rise to this greatness, or is it some other? What's behind it all?
Well, okay. So I guess when she died, she died of ovarian cancer. In 2010. So I found I needed to find a way to process the grief, you know, or figure out how I can produce something or find something positive from the experience. So I was asked to start teaching. I had worked in some musical theater pieces, like understudying. I was in The Color Purple and understudying the role of Shug Avery. So I heard of one of the best acting coaches in New York, Susan Batson, and I started working with her. And when my mom died, she asked me to start teaching at her school. And then she said, you know, one of the best ways to work through grief is to create. And I thought, oof. Okay, so she has these solo shows, Slices of Lives productions, that she's been encouraging students and also professional actors to create work. So I started working on a piece about my mother in this solo workshop performance group, and it just started coming together. And she really is she calls herself the directorial consultant, you know, and has been really helping me shape it.
Well, I guess we should tell people how can they find out more, and where can they go, and when can they see it? When's all the technical details?
Yeah, right. Well, it's at the Susan Batson Studio, which is on at 300 West 43rd Street, and it's Suite 300. The theater is there, and it's right in the heart of Times Square. And for tickets, you can call 212-226-4630.
Is there a website? I mean,
I know.
it's
Sorry. Yeah,
That's all right,
it's easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a website?
Well, on the Susan Batson website, you go to Slices of Lives Productions, and you're able to buy tickets that way.
All right, Slices of Life Production.
Slices of Lives, yeah.
Slices of Lives
Yes.
Production, right?
Yeah.
And Francesca Harper, who's joining us here and telling us this story, and we just saw a clip of, maybe we can play that. Let's put that clip up again and watch it again for folks who are just tuning in so they could see it, because it was beautiful. And here's the look of feeling. Now, what does that mean? The look of feeling? Is that what?
You know, it's funny, that title came to me one day when I realized how much I was working on the piece, and that it just kind of came to me, this idea of performing and letting your emotions, you know, and the fact, God, see, I get so emotional even talking about it. Okay. You know, how much I loved her, just bringing that feeling to the stage. So I thought, all right, this is actually what it is. It's the look of feeling on stage. You
Interesting,
know?
yeah. All right, great.
Yeah.
And is this it's a one-woman show?
Yep.
You're the, and how about who's doing, you, the director, producer, who else is there?
I am.
Who's behind the scenes?
Who's behind the scenes?
Yeah,
I
who's
have Susan Batson is behind the scenes, and then I have two other producers. I have Ignacio Garcia Bustelo, and then Fiona Graham is the other producer. And they've really been an amazing team who've given me guidance and worked as directors and been kind of the outside eye for the piece. Yeah.
Right, great. And have you, when's the opening? Is it opened already? Or
Friday.
Friday. So Friday is the opening.
Friday.
What time is that?
At 8 o'clock.
8 p.m., right?
Yep.
And you're going to be there for a Q&A?
Yeah.
So people can ask questions as well, right?
I think so. Yeah.
It says here anyway.
Yeah,
so
I think
Susan Batson. Now, Susan Batson is BATSON, Studio Theater, 300 West 43rd Street. That's at 8th Avenue, Suite 300, New York City, New York. And you can visit Slices of Lives Productions. Just go to Slices of Lives Productions, and our guest, Francesca Harper. And I'm sure you can find all the information about the show, which opens on Friday. So, wow, this is fascinating. So let's, I want to go back to some of the, do you feel in any way like you're a Southern girl, like you're the South in you at all?
Oh, it's funny that you say that. Yeah, I think my grandmother, my mother's mother, is also from the South, and we definitely have some kind of influences just in terms of our socialization and people and yeah, exactly. Y'all, a little bit, some of those things in there, some of those inflections, yeah. But we really, you know, I think it's more kind of the consideration and the time to, you know, taking with others and eating and, you know, and conversing and
family at the
lives.
table and talking, a lot of talking, not sitting there and staring at each other over dinner.
No. Lots of fun. I mean, both of my, a lot of my family grew up in the arts. My grandmother had a great love for the arts and raised two daughters, my mother and my mother's sister, Margot Jefferson, who's a writer. She worked for the New York Times, and she's great up at Columbia now. But I grew up with these two these amazing women, you know, that had these careers in the arts. So in New York City. So my childhood.
A family of strong women. Your family is women all the way, strong women, right?
Yeah. Well, that's also why I wanted to create the piece. I mean, but it's also very universal. I've had men come and see it. It's really about, you know, one person's kind of transcendence, you know, and passion, and really. Also, I wanted to share the best of like her courage. I wanted to kind of remind the New York community that, you know, and inspire in that way to remind people, you know, to have courage and move forward towards their dreams against all odds, you know, just it's
and from Coffeyville to Chicago is an amazing, it's a flight, right? I mean, you know, small town America in the deep South in the mid 20th century would have been a difficult escape for anybody.
Yeah, I know.
That's another piece. To get out and to get out in one piece. I know. Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's intense. I mean, that section, it's funny you talk about that, but to even kind of approach that material and look into researching, I mean, the fact that a lot of, you know, Black history is not recorded. Yeah. So it's word of mouth and it's finding out. I mean, that's intense just in itself, you know. the reality of, you know, the race issues that existed back then, and you know, and have improved. I talk about Obama and Obama being elected, and it's really interesting to go from, you know, that experience earlier on and see how far we've come.
But there's still problems, as we can see in Los Angeles.
Right, yes, oh my God.
You know, and things like that. There's still holdouts for the old way of thinking, and unfortunately, they're running into more problems than they used to give the rest of us.
Yeah, I know.
These days, which is good. I guess that's part of the change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, well, we're living in a period of great social change, and whenever there's great social change, there's going to be conflict. And
that's right. I mean, I think it existed all the time. You know, both existed always. You know, there over the ages, there have been courageous human beings who have stood up for their rights and made change happen, and then, you know, violence. It's just, that's...
Have you visited these places to see, like, in your writing? Did you go down south and see some of these places?
I haven't yet. I think that's the next phase. I think that's the next phase. Yeah. You know, I think this has been such an emotional piece. It's been so intense. Yeah. You know, this first stage has been also really grappling with the loss of... Right.
2010 is just only a few years ago.
Yeah.
My mom passed away in 2009, so I know that feeling and carrying it as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's the greatest loss is your mother. I mean, you know, it's the toughest one.
I think so.
You know, the person you came from.
Yeah,
you know, you're part really
the nurturer.
It's the nurturer who we're physically one of. You know, like every one of us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right, and then we continue on with the memories, inspiring us to move forward and carry on those stories and
she
the legacy
seemed to have a tremendous
others.
Impact on you, on your life, to keep you going and to achieve this, right?
Yeah, I think she was really my role model. I thought she was a very cool person too. She was really fun, and I mean, she was very serious. But it was very much like, okay, when we were working, we were working. When we were playing, and we were having fun. And
was she like a principal or the director of the school, the Ailey School? Is that like a principal in a school? Like,
yeah, exactly. Right. She was running the whole school. Right. I know. I had a sign made. I called her the warden. Like, it was a joke, you know. But
did she have Alvin's number on a line, like to fast dial him in an emergency? I bet. Did you grow up with Alvin Ailey or know him or interact with him? What was that like? Tell us a little bit.
Oh my God. Well, there's one story. It's so interesting. Yeah, he knew me since I was a little girl, and I knew him. He hung out with us in the studio, and he would take his shoes off and walk around in his socks. We knew Alvin very well. He was very down to earth, and came in the student lounge and would ask us how our grades were. And he was very accessible. He wanted to, you know, be with people and understand. He just really lived to connect people, you know. And there's one story I remember when after I finished high school and I was looking for a job. I knew I wanted to dance professionally, and I'd grown up at Ailey, and I auditioned for the Alvin Ailey company, and I wore my pointe shoes, my ballet shoes, to the audition. It's a modern company, so I know. And so Alvin took me in his office afterwards, and he said, Fran, you know, you have a place in our second company, in our junior company. He said, but, you know, I know you really well, and I have a feeling you really want to do ballet. And I just burst into tears, and I leapt into his arms and gave him the hugest hug. And he's like, you'll always have a home with us. He's like, but we need trailblazers. We need people, you know, because there are so few African-American ballerinas out there.
Right.
He was the one, and I went and got my first professional job at Dance Theater of Harlem the next week.
Wow.
You know,
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, right.
What a great guy.
Yeah, great guy. He was so sensitive, you know. He really was.
He understood your feelings, and without even having to, he knew if I was her, this is how I would feel.
Yeah.
Ballerina, African American ballerina, right? And so I'm not. Clue me in.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Well, there aren't that many. No. It is, like I told you, my mother's story, which really also gave me the incentive to become a ballerina. In most of the major companies, there's a handful at best. you know, in some of the major ballet companies. I was lucky also to join Dance Theater of Harlem, which it was predominantly, but also mixed. Same with Alvin, Ailey, a very kind of diverse representation of cultures. But for most of the classical, because, you know, they were upholding tradition. And I don't think African Americans initially were part of that tradition in Europe. So I think what happened is that when these companies would structure, they would go back to these kind of traditional looks. So I think it really took, there have been some trailblazers like Arthur Mitchell, who was the director of Dance Theater of Harlem. He was one African-American dancer that Balanchine believed in. Balanchine, it was interesting, he really had a vision at one point, he and Lincoln Kirsten, that he would have half the company be African-American and half the company Caucasian. That was his vision. Didn't quite happen or come to fruition, but he hired. I grew up seeing some examples, but still, even when I was growing up, I think there was Deborah Austin in the New York City Ballet when I was there, who was a soloist, and another member, Cynthia Lochard, I remember both of them, that was a member of the chorus, the corps. So there were only two out of a full company of 100 and something dancers. I know. That's the ratio.
Yeah, right.
You know, so I think that was also
sometimes, right?
Yeah, and a lot of, you know, I then also became one of the dancers that ended up working in Europe. And in the Frankfurt Ballet, the company in which I danced, William Forsythe, who was very open-minded, like I told you, you know.
Did you find that Europe was more advanced than the United States on this?
Well, I think so. I mean, we had a third of the company in the Frankfurt Ballet was African-American at the time, a third of the company.
Is that because folks are going to Germany because there's less problems? Or
right, well, also, you know, in every city they have a subsidized theater. So, yeah, they had the money.
Is that
you know, I think that really is the case. You know, they're independent artists. I have my own company, and I know the struggle in American. It's the funding for the arts. It's just not enough. So people.
Francesca Harper, who's a dancer, choreographer, singer, has the show here, The Look of Feeling, but it's a show about her mom and about the struggles that her mother went through as a. Who became the principal, basically, of the Ailey School of Dance here in New York City, and how she got to that. And it's a one-woman show, and it's at the Susan Batson Studio Theater, 300 West 43rd Street on 8th Avenue, and it opens this Friday, and you can just go to Susan Batson, Batson, and look up Francesca Harper. And that being said, interesting education you were talking about. And we have a couple of minutes left, really only about 3 minutes left. So is that the heart of it? That's why we don't see people, I mean, from urban, hardscrabble, from the bottoms of society, where we know the talent lies. It just has to be found, and they're not finding it.
That's right. Well, I think it's changed. I mean, it's better. I will say that it's better. I've seen some of the institutions, and I've seen it's better, but I think it could be better. So hopefully by even this program and sharing the information will just open people up.
It's not just about test prep, guys. It's not just about test prep. I mean, I was an elementary school teacher, and it's all about test prep, and we should be finding all the great talents that are there.
Thank you.
We barely are scratching the surface of these kids and need more from us. Without every teacher will tell you that. There's not a teacher in America will tell you that. Any different. And so your mom seems to have really transcended that. I mean, she was, you know, a principal, right?
Yeah.
How did she become we have 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Principal of the school, usually that's a lot of time in grad school and getting all your paperwork and everything. Does your mom do it by that route or by?
Well, she did. She had her master's in French, so she went to college. She went to Wheaton, and then she went to NYU and got her master's. And you know, so she was very well educated, and she actually started the BFA, the Fordham program, for dancers also too. Because when I was auditioning, you know, you had to get into a company at 18, but it's changed with programs like the BFA Fordham program.
And arts education, that was her interest right from the beginning. I mean, that's what she wanted to do, was arts education.
Well, she said teaching was her passion. Yeah.
That's what all great teachers say.
Yeah, I really,
when you hear it, you know they're a good teacher. Every great teacher says teaching is my passion.
That's what, and I could feel it. And she was really, I think what the main thing I remember about her, really felt as her daughter, is how much she wanted to connect people.
Yeah.
You know, connect with me as a daughter, connect with other people, empower people too. One of the biggest things I felt as a mother and as a teacher, she would really take the time to make sure that each student felt empowered, and what was getting in the way from making them feel like they deserved the opportunity.
Very interesting. Francesca Harper has joined us to talk about the play about her mother's life, The Look of Feeling, but we learned a lot about Francesca Harper's life in this. Thank you very much, Francesca. And thanks for joining us. And you know, I guess do they say in dance, break a leg, or is that not good?
No, they do say that.
They say that. Okay, good. I want to double check before I say it.
They do, yes.
All right. Have fun at your
asking.
opening, and really good luck to you, and I hope you do very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you.
very
We'll see you
much.
next week.